So, backstory. I've died before. No, not in the reincarnation kind of way. I mean, this body has been dead before. I was 14 years old, the summer of 2003. I went with a cousin to a friend's house when I was staying with my aunt for a week. His friends, twin sisters, were very nice and they had a huge backyard with a pool. Naturally, like any teens in the middle of a blazing summer, the pool was the obvious choice of what to do with our day. There was only one issue. I couldn't swim. But the pool was shallow on one end, so I figured if I'd have stayed in the shallows, no one would know that I was the only non-swimmer. I was 14, and I didn't want to be embarrassed in front of the really pretty girls in bathing suits, so of course I didn't say anything about my lack of ability. So we changed into our swim clothes and jump in. I splashed around with one of the sisters in the shallow end while my cousin and the other sister jumped off the diving board. The sister I played with was a little afraid of the diving board and was perfectly happy staying with me till they were done diving. The afternoon went on, and the sisters went inside to get snacks for us. My cousin thought it would be a great idea for us to play volleyball in the pool with one of those cheap inflatable balls. We had no net, but we made it work. Until my cousin hit the ball at a weird angle and I went for it. At first I thought I'd have it and thought nothing more of my move, until I felt the incline of the pool dip beneath my feet and I began to slide into deeper water. Before I could do anything, I couldn't keep my head above. I remember my cousin screaming for help. I outweighed him by a good 40 pounds at the time, and I knew he couldn't lift me from the water himself. I remember flailing, trying to get my bearings, trying to find the air above my head. And as weird as it sounds, the last thing I remember was the sound of footsteps, slow and deliberate. The next thing I know, I'm sitting at what would only be described as a school desk. I'm in a room that appears to be all white. I can't really tell it's a room though, as there seems to be no variation between the walls, floor, and ceiling. It felt like a vast space with nothing around for miles. I hear voices talking in a language that I do not know. Part of me feels like I'm dreaming, but it was too real. I could feel my body, the chair beneath me, the desk under my hands. After what felt like hours of hearing this talking but seeing no one to accompany the voices, the room changes. The desk and chair vanish, and I'm floating on air. The white of the room darkens very quickly to a dingy gray, like the color of the sky, just not dark enough for rain, but still completely overcast. And I hear those footsteps again. I glance around and I see a man approach me. He seems normal enough, if not dressed fairly formal. 3-piece suit and tie, all a shade of gray, just a tone darker than the room. Except a black dress shirt. Clean shaven, fair skin. To be honest, looked like a guy you'd see in a catalog for a high-priced clothing store. He was man pretty. As he gets closer, I can see he has a smile. A perfect toothpaste commercial smile on his face that is somehow comforting and scary as hell all at the same time. I knew something wasn't right, but I couldn't place it. He looks me square in the eye, with the smile never changing, as he waits for me to speak. I asked the only obvious question: where am I? To my surprise, he spoke English unlike the other voices I'd heard. Well, you'll figure that out soon enough. Bad luck with the pool, I see. I nodded my head, completely confused. How could he know about it? Well, good news is you can float now. At that moment, I realized I wasn't floating on air, but on the surface of water. The water was so still I hadn't noticed it until it was mentioned. And I am resting afloat perfectly still, endless expanse of water. I realized this man is standing on the water, but at that moment it didn't really click in my head what that meant. Am I dead? Are you God? I muttered. I guess I had really died in that pool and was now in heaven. I was a little shocked since I'd never believed in anything I had been told of death and the afterlife, but I figured if I'd made it to heaven, then my lack of belief was a no harm, no foul. Oh no, dear boy. I'm just going to be watching you swim for a while. Just lay back and enjoy. And I did. Floating on the water felt so cool and refreshing. I could never swim or even float before, so now I can understand why people did it so frequently. For a moment, I felt complete comfort, and was even able to ignore the off feeling I had about the man and his smile. I heard him laugh. It was almost carefree. The kind of laugh you hear in commercials trying to sell you something. So perfect that it must be fake. Now I knew something was off with that sound. I looked up, but he was gone. I can still hear his laugh, but he was nowhere to be seen. At that point, I noticed the water wasn't cool anymore. It felt warm. Still trying to rationalize, I figured I had just gotten used to it, until I felt the temperature continue to rise. At first it felt okay, but it kept rising and rising. Warm to hot. Painfully hot. I tried to move, but couldn't make any of my muscles respond. Hotter still. Unbearably painful. And I felt the water start to move tumultuously. Even hotter, and it clicked. The water was boiling. I felt myself being thrashed around, feeling the searing hot pain. It lasted for hours, days, years, nothing but blinding pain. It was real, and I wanted to die 1,000 times over just to end the pain. I thought I would go mad from it. Then, all at once, the water was cool and calm again. I gasped at the relief. My mind thanked God over and over, and despite being still in the water, I calmed down in my previous peaceful mindset. Just when I relaxed and felt calm reach every corner of me, the temperature began to rise again. I panicked, but again could do nothing as I felt it go from cool to warm, warm to hot, hot to boiling, and I felt my body being thrashed around as the boiling bubbles danced beneath and around me. I couldn't talk. Even the muscles in my jaw were paralyzed from the pure agony of being boiled alive. This went on for eons, pain beyond comprehension, followed by relief so sweet that I couldn't help but be glad for it and bask in it, just to have it torn away from me in the most brutal fashion that the torture began again and again, made worse by the brief reprieve I had gotten from the dulling my memory of it. With nothing but my mental screams and pleas for death and the occasional perfect laugh from that man. One would think you eventually get used to pain, but no, each time was just as mind-bendingly gruesome as the first. Then, after what only could be seen as an eternity, all at once I was out of the water, just above it. I heard the man's voice speak his first words, unless you count whimsical laughter as words, and it had to be a few millennia. Even his words sounded breezy, as if he were lounging on a beach without a care in the world. Looks like someone's come for you, so our playtime is over. But maybe we'll see each other again sometime. As I rose higher and higher above the water, I felt sharp pains in my chest. It hurt bad, but not as bad as the water. I clenched my eyes shut, trying to block it out, trying to avoid any more pain. I started coughing, feeling water surge up my throat and out of my lungs. But this time, relief was left behind. Sunlight. That's the first thing I registered when my eyes popped open. My vision was blurry, and it felt like I was breathing through a thick pillow. But the sun was definitely there, something I hadn't seen in what seemed like a lifetime. Slowly my vision came into focus, and I saw faces over me. I didn't recognize the first face, and was immediately scared this new face was one for more torture. So I looked over and saw my cousin, the sisters, and their mother just behind them. They filled me in the details soon after. The face over me had belonged to an EMT. I had drowned in that pool. My cousin's screams had alerted the others inside, and the sisters called 911. The mother pulled me out. By the time I was completely out of the water, an ambulance had arrived, but I had no pulse. After completely drying me off, it being a 90-degree day helped with that. They tried CPR on the paddles. It worked, and here I am. I spent the next 2 days in the hospital, as they scanned for lung damage from chlorine water, and brain damage from lack of oxygen. I had stopped breathing for just over 3 minutes. 3 minutes. That's how long I was dead for. That thought still perplexes me. I had been in that cycle of torment for enough time for the human race to die off, for the sun to burst and disintegrate, and be born again into a new universe. Yet only 3 minutes had passed. But here I am, alive and well. Though I haven't ever gone near a pool or a large body of water ever since. I have panic attacks just crossing bridges. The point of my story? I don't really know. Just to get it all out. The man's voice and laugh still haunt me to this day. I guess part of me hoped getting it all out would help me leave it in the past, but I really think I just wanted you to know these simple facts. Hell is real, but it's not fire and brimstone. It is a place you will know what real pain is over and over, in a way you couldn't even imagine in life. The devil is real, and he is not a little man with red skin, horns, and a pointy forked tail. He comes to you as something benign, something that could be perceived as beautiful, and he's waiting for all of us. He comes to you with calm, confident footsteps, slow and steady because he's in no hurry. He's not panicked over the judgment that we will not even comprehend, because he knows when you will belong to him. I still hear his footsteps, creeping through my hallway and around me at random times. I still hear his laugh, so carefree, so innocent, that you almost believe it means you no harm. And I know others hear it too. Hear it and know in the pit of their soul there's something painful within that laugh. Like a pill that looks so inviting when tired, but you know is filled with needles ready to stab through the fabric into you. It's easy to see the look on the face of someone who knows that voice, when the sound twists a part of them they don't even know exists into a knot of terror. He is watching us all. Think about it. You ever heard a laugh you felt was too perfect? Ever heard footsteps just within earshot, but with no reason to be there? That's him. He's real, and he's always on his way.